Bristol's geography meant that it was a key point of contact with the English Caribbean. In 1650, Jamaica was captured by the British and became a major British centre and a major contributor to the national economy.
Merchants and colonists made money from Bristol's maritime position, but many others did too. I'm here at the opulent Deeren Park estate, which was built by William Blathwaite, Secretary to the Navy.
The Navy's corrupt activities helped to fund this estate, and evidence of this can be seen inside.
He built this estate with the money he gleaned from the proceeds of corrupt naval activities. Interiors, such as the staircase here, are made from walnut shipped from the colony of Virginia, and there are many other objects gained through maritime trade, such as leather from Spain and wall hangings from the Netherlands.
Many luxury goods were imported to the UK as a part of triangular trade. This was a three-part trading process instead of a rather simpler bi-directional trade between two countries.
The first side of the triangle involved ships leaving Bristol harbour full of valuable textiles and manufactured goods.
These goods then sailed to the West African coast, where they were then traded with locals for slaves, who would then sell to the Caribbean.
One of these such goods, produced in the UK and sailed to the West African coast, was brass. Calamine ore in the Bristol region was in high demand in African nations. During the medieval period, it was traded across the Sahara and later carried across the sea by the Portuguese and refined in Germany. Calamine is a raw form of zinc that combined with copper to produce highly prized brass. In 1690, Parliament abolished the monopolies on brass, allowing Bristol's copper and brass manufacturing to flourish. The Bristol Brass Company converted the Baptist mills from flour to brass production in 1702, an industry that lasted just over 100 years at this now busy motorway junction. The second stage of the triangular trade was the infamous Middle Passage across the Atlantic to the Caribbean, where the slaves captured from West Africa were sold to the highest bidders at slave auctions to work unpaid and in captivity on plantations producing sugar, tobacco, and other goods.
The money from these slave auctions would then be used to purchase goods like tobacco, sugar, and coffee that would then be taken back to Bristol and other British ports to be sold. Many of the slaves purchased with the brass and other goods, like wine and guns, would not survive the next risky leg of the journey. It was important for slave owners to fill their ships with slaves. Ships would sail up and down the coast, sometimes for many months until this was achieved.
One of Bristol's wealthiest men, John Pinney, owned plantations in Nevis in the Caribbean. The proceeds from this trade paid for the Georgian house in Bristol. At least 850 slaves were kept at Nevis until slavery was abolished. While the Pinneys lived a glamorous lifestyle on the profits of slavery, the horrific trade led to enormous suffering.
Perrot's Bridge is named after one of Pinney's slaves. The story goes that he was purchased along with two of his sisters in 1765 when he was 12 years old, and the three of them moved from Nevis to Bristol. Pinney paid £115 for the three of them, in today's currency about £6,000. Perrot was Pinney's personal servant and was able to visit Nevis twice, once in 1790 and then again in 1794.
The second visit changed Perrot, and he began to drink heavily. He fell ill in 1798 and was relocated to Ashton, where he died at 45 years old, still in service to the Pinneys.
In 1999, this bridge behind me was named after him to commemorate the man who lived and died a slave to the richest family in Bristol history.
As well as opportunities for the wealthy slave traders and plantation owners, the trade also provided the law of potential riches overseas for the poor. They could sign up to indentured labour, years of hard slog in exchange for a plot of land in the Caribbean. Not all of them survived to get this land, but as the land supply dried up, so did the system of indentured labour toward the end of the 17th century.
Before the dawn of the 18th century, sugar became a monocrop in the English Caribbean. This labour-intensive production drew heavily on both slavery and indentured labourers.
As London lost its monopoly on the slave trade, Bristol merchants seized on the unsavoury trade. Though slavery made up only a small part of the income of many of these merchants, the city's Georgian prosperity did rely significantly on the colonial crops supported by slavery.
The sugar trade transformed the landscape of Bristol. Warehouses and refineries covered large tracts of waterfront and inland property, such as the Sugar House in Lewins Mead, where raw molasses were processed into sugar loaves, sold to local shops and distribution centres, and is now the home of a restaurant and a hotel.
Across the city, we can see traces of this trade in the fine Georgian buildings paid for by the trade, and in the industrial complexes that refined sugar to meet the ever-growing demand of the British public.